Welcome to Charter California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. Well, this should be an interesting half hour. We'll be speaking with 3 members of the Garvey School District community. There is some contention going on within the Garvey School District. We'll speak with one of its school board members. We'll speak with its superintendent, and we'll speak with its president of the teachers union, not just on the contention, but on other issues. And I think this will act as a microcosm for what's wonderful about local politics and all its machinations. Garvey School District is in the Rosemead area in Los Angeles County, so I hope you stay with us to learn more about local politics at its best or worst. We'll start with Janet Chen. She is a member of the Garvey School District. She's also running for the Rosemead City Council. That election will be held on March 5th. That's for the Rosemead City Council. So talk to me, Ms. Chin, about what's wonderful about local politics and how American democracy can be, quite a joy.
Well, you know, local politics is somewhere that they always say all politics are local.
Yes.
And so, you know, what we find is that communities have to be embracing of it. And I think that I really enjoy local politics.
I know, I mean, clearly, since you've run for a school board, now you're running for city council. What we know is that the contention has gotten to a boiling point. And even though you are running for a different office for which you could win on March 5th, you are subject of a recall on the school board side. Yet they're not using paid signature gatherers, so it's not clear that they could even qualify the recall. But what about that kind of contention that seems to be getting to a boiling point?
Well, the current thing, and when we talk about local politics, it's really a small group of people. And the objections are very unclear. We're looking at, they're detailing things that really have nothing to do with me personally or the kind of work that I've done for the school district in the last 5 years.
And I plan to speak with, as I said, the teachers union president. And as I understand it, the big source of contention is that 3 out of 5 school board members voted to extend the superintendent's contract. We'll be speaking with your superintendent momentarily.
Yes.
And what I plan to ask is, it seems like a political disagreement, the fact that you were part of the 3. What do you think of the fact that, as a grand experiment, that you use the recall to address a political disagreement? Because that's ultimately what this is.
That's correct. And you know, before, recalls were really for
malfeasance.
Correct. Something where there's a crime that was committed, and now we're seeing it on a policy level. And I think that it's actually, first of all, it's unhealthy. You know, you're elected by the community to serve for a certain amount of time. And if people really feel that passionately about it, of course, you know, I'm always for the progress. So if they feel that strongly about it,
it's their right.
That's their right, correct. My only contention, or my only concern, I will say, is because we have communities who don't really understand what's going on. They're not involved until something negative happens. And then it gets blown up into something that it's really not healthy for the community. Our school district is actually doing very well, and you said that Dr. Johnson was coming on. She'll be able to tell you all the great things that we've done. And this is not about money. We have to really be careful about this. This is not about money. It really is about the new reality of education reform. And things are changing really fast, and we all need to embrace it.
I mean, change is difficult, and there's
Absolutely.
no doubt that the teachers union has not enjoyed that method of change. You know, there are terms like authoritarian, dictatorial, and so
we all need to embrace it, though.
Right. So how is it impacting? I mean, some would say all press is good press. Your run for the Rosemead City Council.
Well, it's given me a lot more name recognition.
No doubt about that.
But you know, all the decisions that I've made at the Garvey School District, I've really put the children first. I'm a mother. I'm the only parent on that school board, and I would never do anything to
with students in the district.
Correct. Right. And I'm the only parent that on that board that really looks at, you know, how is that affecting the children currently? How is it affecting their classrooms? And I'm starting to see a lot of positive things that come through not only my own children's backpacks, but within the community and my neighbors. So I know that we're moving to a better place.
So let's talk about Rosemead as a city, because you are looking towards the Rosemead City
Yes.
Council. I'm sure it's an exciting time. It's a larger voter pool. Does Garvey School District, is it completely in Rosemead city limits?
It is not, but the majority of our schools are
Okay,
in
so you're
Rosemead.
meeting new voters, no doubt.
Yes, absolutely.
And what are they saying to you about their hopes and dreams and fears?
We have different pockets in the community with different concerns. Rosemead has a divide between a north and a south, and it's divided by the 10 freeway.
So one side of the railroad, essentially,
Kind
the
of
tracks.
like, exactly. But what we're finding is that people care about education, right?
Clearly.
People care about the vision of where their city is headed. They care about the small businesses in their community, and that's really where my main focus is.
Are they talking about regulation? Because I've spoken with many members of the state legislature, and what they say is small businesses constantly complaining about how California has it's an over-regulated state, that we need to streamline regulations. Are you hearing that same cry?
We do hear that. I think that it's within City Hall, we need to streamline some of the processes that we have in order to be much more friendly.
Right.
And when we say friendly, we don't mean just making sure that the internal processes are easy, but really to handhold the investors that want to come into our community and build something for a very long period of time.
And what's interesting about Rosemead is it's in the heart of the San Gabriel Valley, and unlike Los Angeles, which really is it's a behemoth unto its own, you're competing with cities, left, east, west, north, and south. I mean, you are surrounded by other independent cities, and any and all attempts to lure business into Rosemead, it's going to be fought tooth and nail with neighbors right there. So how do you distinguish Rosemead when you think about your neighboring cities?
Well, I always say that Rosemead doesn't understand its potential.
Okay.
And that's where we're headed. We're headed for a better Rosemead. And Rosemead is located in a really wonderful place because, like you said, it is the center of the San Gabriel Valley. And it is attracting a lot of the smaller businesses, mostly immigrant individuals who come from other countries, mostly the Asian countries, who come with an amazing set of skills. And it really is kind of it's ingrained in the fabric of Rosemead. So one of the first things that I do need to change is our motto, the trademark for Rosemead. And right now it's today's small town America.
No.
Brad, that doesn't really sound like Rosemead to me.
Not. When
so
I
I don't
drive
really
down
identify
the 10
with
and
that.
the 6, no.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's not a small town.
So
No, it's not Norco. Yeah, it doesn't feel that way. Yeah. So you're running against a slate of incumbents.
Yes, I am.
Which can be a blessing or a curse. It's hard to know. How is that?
I'm not really running against the slate. I think that's
fair
what
enough.
it is.
Good response.
It really is. I want a seat, and I know that I can do a really great job as a city council member. And because I come from the school district, I think that we can marry the two and make sure that we have a stronger bond.
So we're about to speak with your superintendent. Tell us why, boast about her, because I know that you are a fan.
Yes, I am a fan of Dr. Sandy Johnson. She is one of the educators that I've known in my entire, school board career, to be one of the most caring people. She's very efficient. She has all those skills, all the skills of what a superintendent encompasses. But she truly cares about children. She's been a teacher. She's been a principal. She's been an administrator for quite a while. And she really knows what she's doing. And I find that she's courageous.
Well, there's no doubt she has courage as she's navigating this political and municipal morass, because it is challenging, no doubt. We're going to meet her. Her name is Dr. Sandra Johnson. She's the superintendent of Garvey School District. We've been speaking with Janet Chen, a board member. We'll be right back on Charter California Edition. Welcome back to Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are now joined by the superintendent of Garvey School District. Her name is Dr. Sandra Johnson. You've been at the school district for about 2 years. It's been a contentious ride, but I want to get a sense from you. Why are you happy in your job? It seems as if you're really pleased with the progress the district has made.
I am. I say to people, I have 5,300 good reasons to come to work every day, and that's for the children in Garvey, because I think we have some of the best kids you could have anywhere.
And let's talk about those kids, because I think it's fair to say that the school district, it pulls from disadvantaged communities that are economically challenged.
That's correct.
And so that presents challenges in itself. And oftentimes you will see in economically challenged communities, scores will be low and dropping. What are we seeing in Garvey?
We've seen great improvements, and we're very proud of them. You know, in California, there's an academic performance index called the API, and the target is 800. That's what the state set several years back of wanting their schools to get to that target. And I'm proud to say that every one of our schools are above 800. And so we have 100% of our schools above 800. Statewide, it's 53%.
And is this a new development that you're all above 800?
It is. This is the first year that every single school has been that way. Last year, we moved to 3 schools that were still below the 800 mark. So we've moved up every year.
So why is it, in your mind, that there is contention surrounding your tenure?
Well, you know, when I came, the board really knew and wanted change for the school district, and their primary focus was student achievement. And in my previous positions, I have a record of improving student achievement, but it takes some real serious change to do that. And the fundamental change has to occur in the classroom with what happens every day, and it's changes to professional development, changes to teaching, changes to the way we involve our parents, new materials, new expectations.
Change is difficult.
Those are hard.
And change is difficult. And apparently, it's more difficult than you can imagine. The teachers union has come out fighting. And we know, we just spoke with Janet Chen, that she is a subject of a recall as a result of her support of you.
Well, you know,
in some level.
Yes.
At some level.
Janet is an incredible board member. She's not only very intelligent, she has children in the district. She's a parent first, but she always votes for the best interests of all children, not just her children. And that's a hard thing to do politically, because sometimes you have to make very hard decisions to always vote for children and not other issues.
I want to speak with you more about the challenges facing Garvey because of its population, economically disadvantaged population. You may have heard that the governor of California proposed a formula whereby school districts that do serve children that come from economically challenged communities will get more money. I mean, it's that basic.
Yes, it is.
And so being on the receiving end of that, I'd love to know your thoughts on it, but also as an educator for your life. I mean, do you think that this is the appropriate approach to prefer fiscally more challenged schools vis-a-vis maybe suburban schools?
Well, I've been in public education quite a while now, and I'm totally committed to public education, but really, this proposal from the governor is very much like his weighted student formula last year. But it is the first time, we've talked about Serrano versus Priest and equalizing funding, that I've seen a real effort towards that.
And that was the California or U.S. Supreme Court decision?
California.
That talked about equal access and how funding formulas need to be fair from district to district.
And we know it takes more money to educate children from poverty and English learners, and we have a very high population of both. So Garvey would be a school district that would benefit from the governor's, it's called the local control funding formula.
And let's talk about another element of that. He has argued that should this formula go into effect, that local school districts will receive more discretion There won't be as many strings attached. There won't be as many onerous requirements as he sees it. What do you make of that? I mean, there are pluses and minuses to flexibility.
Well, I think some of the flexibility in spending the money, but we're still going to have, I'd say, moral obligations to serve the needs of these children. So, and I don't think it will be total flexibility. I certainly think there might be more, but we want to make sure that we put the money to the best use to serve the children that need it the most.
I also want to speak about Proposition 30. As you know, the voters of California were surprisingly generous in November of 2012. I have said before on this program I did not think Prop 30 would pass, but it did, with over 55% of the vote. I've spoken with many of your colleagues, and I want to get a sense from you how important that proposition's passage was for your school district as a metaphor for other school districts as well.
Well, the difference to us just was $2 million structural deficit versus $4 million. And that's a huge difference. So we're still not out of the woods, but for the first time in many years, we're looking at the possibility of even a 1.65% COLA.
Which is a cost of living increase.
Correct.
For your teachers' unions, for example?
That would come in various categorical programs, and it's still unclear as to how it actually occur, because as you know, this is just a proposal and we have a long ways to go.
That's true. No, absolutely.
But it looks like we can count on that.
We're going to be speaking with the president of the teachers union. As I understand it, some of the union's frustration is they don't have a contract. Where do we go on that issue?
Well, we've been bargaining consistently since last March. And at this point, we don't have any agreement, but the district has a structural deficit. We've never gotten any furlough days, any caps on benefits. So we're very unusual. Most districts around us, the teachers' unions have taken cuts.
There have been no concessions?
None at all.
Not to pensions, no two-tier pension system, no contributions to 401ks?
Nothing. Nothing. And we have a very high benefit package. Our teachers at the top can get a $15,000 plus benefit package, and our classified employees almost 20. And it's something we know we have to curtail because the costs keep going up. We haven't had any furlough days, and the good part of that is it allows for more instructional time.
No doubt.
The difficulty is it didn't save the district any funding.
But you may know that the Englewood School District last year had to be rescued by the state of California because it was about to go bankrupt. Is Garvey at risk because of what you describe as intransigence from your teachers' union?
Well, in California, there are two qualifications. You can have a qualified budget or a negative budget. All it means is how far away you are from the cliff. We're a qualified budget.
Which is a little better than negative.
Because negative would mean next year we wouldn't be able to have the required minimum reserves and pay all of our bills. But we have another year reprieve. And in March of this year, we have to present to the County Office of Education what is called a stabilization plan. And we can't say, oh, we're planning to do this, or we'd like to do that, or we hope to negotiate this. We either have to have an actual negotiated settlement or find other ways to balance our budget, or it won't be accepted. So we're coming up to a very serious deadline soon, and we've continued to ask for these concessions that we haven't received.
I wish you the best of luck. When we come back, we'll be speaking with Michael Drange. He is the president of the Garvey Educational Association. That is the teachers union for the Garvey School District. We thank the superintendent for joining us. Her name is Dr. Sandra Johnson. My name is Brad Pomerance. We'll be right back on Charter California Edition. Welcome back to Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Yes, we are now joined by Michael Drange. He is the president of the Garvey Education Association, which is the teachers union for the district. He also teaches at Garvey Intermediate. He is a music teacher, and he is part of a campaign to recall a school board member at the Garvey School District. There is no doubt this has got very heated and contentious. It's been covered by the papers for quite some time, and it focuses on the superintendent and the support of 3 out of 5 school board members of that superintendent. Talk to us about your concerns with regard to the superintendent of Garvey School District.
Well, for the teachers, there's sort of 2 sides to this, but the teachers, the superintendent was hired in 2010. I believe August was her first month. And when she got to the school district, historically we've been a very collegial district. We've had a lot of collaboration between the teachers and administration, and we've always worked together to try to solve problems. Once this new superintendent came, we saw that a lot of things were changed. A lot of the committees that we used to have were abandoned. Her style of management was very top-down. Now, in the beginning, we were trying to work with her and trying to see that, see if we could, get along together. And then eventually, over time, we saw things were not going well, and that's when the teachers started speaking out about what was going on, trying to go to the school board and getting them to see that we have some issues in the district.
And there's no doubt that teachers have spoken loud and clear. You have appeared at school board meetings, both you and the metaphorically you, and what we know is that the situation hit a boiling point when the superintendent was up for contract renewal, and this occurred in the fall of 2012. What happened upon contract renewal?
Well, once there had been this ongoing, I don't know if you want to call it a battle, but there was an ongoing conversation about this. At that school board meeting, we had some 500 people in the school board meeting in attendance. We're a small district. There's only 250 teachers. So you can see this was not just the teachers involved, it was the community and everything. And what we had been asking both the teachers and the community was to not renew her contract. But the school board went ahead and not only renewed her contract, but they also gave her a big raise.
So that vote, as I mentioned, was 3-2.
Yes.
So clearly there was some dissension on it. But the fundamental issue comes down to the next step taken by the teachers union and purportedly by at least one of the board members who were in the minority. And that was to pick one board member to target for recall. I want to get a sense from you why you are choosing a recall as your method of attack on this situation.
Well, the recall for us was sort of like the last straw. I mean, it was the end, because this whole incident, it started like in June of 2011. We had already, the teachers had voted, had taken a no confidence vote. 96% of the teachers had voted no confidence in the superintendent. So the recall was not, the first thing we tried to do.
But let me ask you, when I think of recalls, traditionally recalls have been meant for individuals who have committed bad acts. I mean, to use the most simple term, who committed acts of malfeasance, who committed unethical acts. What we see in this situation is a disagreement, a political disagreement. And I'm wondering, and I'm just going to push you on it, since you're a teacher, you can handle it, is the recall the best approach or the appropriate approach when there is a political disagreement over a vote?
Well, I think that in some ways it's the only way, because it's, this has been construed as it's a board member. It's been construed that it's the Teachers Association. But really, this is the community. This is the public. These are the voters.
But it's hard to deny that the union is, and I don't use that pejoratively, the union is pushing the recall. This board member purportedly is heavily involved. Someone's got to be, steering the train. And when you have a need to collect almost 4,000 signatures, that can't happen organically.
Right.
That takes a lot.
Right.
And so, I continue to push on whether this is an appropriate approach to a political disagreement.
Well, I don't know what other approach there is, and this is why. Because we started out with first trying to deal directly with the superintendent. Things, didn't go well with that. We then were going to the school board and trying to appeal to the school board, because the only people that have any kind of say over what the superintendent does is the school board.
But here's another point that I think is of interest, is that you're only targeting one school board member. There were 3 who voted in favor of the contract extension. The reason you're not going after the other 2 is because under the law you can't, because they are up for re-election in November.
Yes.
So wouldn't it be more economically prudent, more prudent in terms of organizing, to just wait until that November election? Because then, it's not going to cost signature gatherers, it's not going to cost the city for a recall, and all you need is one swing, and if you vote out, are those the only 2 that are up in November?
There's another. There's the third.
The third, which voted your way.
Yes.
I mean, you get one swing and you get your way. I just question what's the rush? Why put all this effort out when all you have to do is wait till November?
Well,
and let the people speak.
Right. There are, and I wouldn't disagree with you in looking at it in that kind of big picture kind of sense. But there are other issues with this particular board member that are beyond this vote. There have been some concerns of integrity issues.
Well, I know that there has been questions about a foundation that she has run.
Right.
I don't want to get too deep into that. When you talk about this one school board member, I also must ask about the fact that she's running for the Rosemead City Council in March. She's only one of 4 candidates. 3 will win.
Right.
She could be out of there come March.
No, that's very true. But we can't, as we've looked at this situation, there's a possibility that she'll be leaving the school board in March. But we don't know if that's going to happen. She was elected in 2011, November. So she still has almost 3 more years.
Till 2015.
Right. So the feeling about having her continue on the school board after the way that she has dealt with the public and the way that...
But I just think about the fact that, you're only gaining 2 months. And think about the expense, both emotional, fiscal, actual, if you just wait for that election to
Well, you
pass.
can look at it as 2 months, but we look at it as 2 years, because she would remain on the school board.
But you could still attempt a recall if she's not successful in March.
Well, that's true, but I mean, the groundswell for this was more from the community than from us. I mean...
Really?
Yes, really. I mean, I know people don't seem to believe me on this. I have been I've been trying to hold people back, because early on in this whole thing, it's like, well, why don't we just recall the board? And said, well, this isn't the time or the place, or we have, there's other options. We need to try to work with people. But
what about working with the superintendent herself? Because ultimately, she's your concern. The school board member...
Well, I mean, this is an ongoing problem. I mean, we still have issues that the superintendent is having. And there's a difference between the issues that the parents have and the issues that the teachers have, right? So, but the teachers themselves, we have issues. I was in a meeting yesterday with the superintendent, and the superintendent is putting in policies that we feel are direct contract violations. Now, these are being taken up with the Public Employees Relations Board. We're having unfair labor practices filed because we're working without a contract, and so the district has told us that we have no arbitration. Okay, usually, if things get grieved, they go to the superintendent, then they go to arbitration. Everything now ends with the superintendent. So if we have a grievance that's essentially against the superintendent, she just decides.
So where's the contract?
Well, we haven't had a contract since 2011, June 2011.
How can you get a contract?
Well, we're in negotiations right now, and we have ongoing negotiations, and they have been sticky, you could say, at best.
Michael, I want to thank you for coming on the program. I know it's not easy to be quizzed by a journalist, although your son is a journalist, so
yes,
you know a little bit about
yes.
that profession. His name is Michael Drange. He is the president of the Garvey Education Association, also a teacher at Garvey Intermediate School. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for watching Charter California Edition.